Welcome traders to the SPACs attack. Let's get it, baby. What's going on, traders, and welcome to the SPACs attack. My name is Mitch, Hoch here. I'm here with my man Chris Katje, the brains to the show, the man behind the SPACs. You guys know, not only does Chris write about these, he does research. He goes and engages with you guys in the comments, in the chat, on Twitter. He wants to know what you guys are looking at and why you guys are looking at it. That's always going to help. And I mean, at the end of the day, this is what we do this for you guys. Is to bring you guys the information that you guys need to make these informed trades. I know we got a rocket moving right now, so I definitely want to get into the headlines. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. Another great day.
Yeah, definitely. You know, one of the things that I'm seeing is right now, I think I see one of these right now that's making moves. And you got to be careful, but definitely there's a rocket out here. All right, guys. So we do have a stock rocketing up. Definitely want to give you guys some information on that. So I'll let Chris take over here. I'm going to go ahead and look into the technicals, but I will go ahead and state, guys, definitely be careful with this stock. You know, with its fast movement, you can get caught. So want to definitely recommend that you guys that are new traders, definitely be careful with a trade like this. All right, Chris, go ahead and take over here.
All right, yeah. So headlines today, scroll right down to the bottom here, the one that we just saw as breaking news. So IPO E, Chamath Palihapitiya, SPAC, rocketing higher. Breaking news out is from Reuters that they are nearing a deal with SoFi. So that, of course, is online lending startup. SoFi has been a target for a lot of different SPACs over the last couple weeks. Looks like this would value the company at more than $6 billion. Reuters, has sources that are saying it could be announced in the next coming days, but talks could collapse. So shares were halted at one point. A huge volume spike, huge increase in the price. Trying to get confirmation now, but it looks like Chamath might be appearing on CNBC at noon. If that is the case, I would expect this to be announced. Otherwise, I was kind of thinking with these Reuters and Bloomberg pieces, usually the rumor comes out and then it's a month later when the deal is officially announced. And Chamath's style is to typically go on CNBC in the morning and announce the deal, and then also have on the CEO of the company that is being acquired. They do a little interview with Andrew Sorkin. So that's his typical style with at least the past two SPACs for IPOB and IPOC. So not sure what to think here and if this deal is going to, get announced today or not. So be careful trading this one. Looks like up 30% now. I did not get into this one, and I won't be looking to unless we see a pullback later. If that deal is not announced today. Mitch, what do you see from this chart? Before I get into the rest of those headlines.
Yeah, one of the things that I'm seeing on this chart is definitely a massive rip. I mean, you got this massive rip. It actually happened between 10:42 and 10:53, and it looks like there was it looks like two Holts. I need to check on that, but that's what it looks like for at least just from the chart. And then it kind of got up here to the 1780. Then what you got here was three bottom actions here at 1480s. This is the kind of bottom action I looked when I used to day trade. When I see that bottoming action, what it gives you is it gives you an ability to measure risk. Let's say if you got into this trade somewhere near the $15 price point, you could risk underneath 480s, 1480s down to, let's say, 1475s or something like that, giving you an ability for it to touch support but get it back to the resistance, which the resistance is up here towards that that 1580 price point. That's kind of the way I approach these, but definitely you got to be careful with these. One of the things that I recommend is if you're not a kind of a day trader, definitely look at more of a 15-minute approach, because what's that going to give you is that's going to give you a little bit better notice where the bottom is, and notice where the support is. This next candle opened up at that 1480 price point. That was the low here. It opened up at 1521. It came down towards that 1480 and then bounced right back off of it. Those are the things that I look for, guys, and that's why I always recommend using multi-time frames for these kind of plays. I know there's some other news out there, so we'll go ahead and get into that. But really, I just wanted to get right back into this one because since it's moving so well, I mean, I know everyone has it on radar. We could see the chat buzzing, so let's go ahead and let's knock some other ones down here.
It looks like it was halted again. And I do have confirmation now. A tweet from the judge, Scott Wapner, host of CNBC's halftime report. He did tweet out that Chamath will be appearing with him today for an exclusive interview during that noon hour of halftime report. So take that with a grain of salt, but remember that typically these Chamath deals are announced on CNBC, and he will be appearing on CNBC in the noon hour. So it looks like that's why we got that that extra halt, and why shares are now up 30%. So let's get into the rest of the headlines here before we get into ticker time. So I have Fisker, FSR. So another update from Henrik Fisker via Twitter yesterday, talking about the Fisker Ocean electric vehicle. So that vehicle is going to start at $37,499, but it'll have different options going all the way up to a $69,900 starting price point. Talking about an ultra long range version that will have 350 miles, a solar roof, and four-wheel drive. So again, Henrik Fisker, always teasing these new announcements on Twitter. And then, as we look at Fisker to try to compete with these other electric vehicle companies, he's going to share some of those details. Remember the story from me here, I said, was them appearing at the Consumer Electronics Show mid-January. Maybe we get some new announcements or some new unveiling from the company. So this is definitely one that is on my watch list. Yesterday we had IPOC. That deal was voted through. Shares did close down on the day, 4%. We cautioned this one during headlines yesterday and, said, be careful with this one. It's run up going into that vote. Typically these ones fall after the vote. So shares closed down 4%. They are up 5% today. Today should be their last day of trading as IPOC. They'll move from the New York Stock Exchange to the NASDAQ. New ticker will be CLOV, so Clover Health. So that's one to watch, but I would caution, up in this range here. So keep an eye out on that one to see what kind of value landing we get post deal. Then we have GIK. So that's Lightning E-Motors. We had the CEO of the company on our show for an interview, of course. So they yesterday announced that they delivered the first all-electric motor coach to ABC companies. And they also received a order for 200 zero-emission vehicles. So, ABC is a leader in that market. So $45 million for 200 vehicles, which range from Class 3 all the way up to Class 8 from Lightning E-Motors. So this is a pretty big deal for them. They also said that combination, the SPAC merger with Gig Capital 3, remains on track. So that should close this first quarter. That's definitely one to take a look at. If you didn't have a chance to watch our interview, you can go back and watch. They have vehicles on the road. They have leading market share in that Class 3 to Class 7 space. One of my favorites, disclosure, I am still long shares of GIK. So keep this one on your watch list as they announce new deals and head into that merger. And then broadly speaking, we have EV SPACs going to see a lot of attention. So we've already talked about the Biden administration and now, Democrats winning the Senate. The other thing we have now as a catalyst is California Governor Newsom, who already has been very pro-electric vehicle. He announced yesterday that part of the stimulus plan for California will include $1.5 billion allocated for electric vehicles and hydrogen vehicles. So that's a big deal. Again, the largest state investing in construction and maintenance for charging and fueling infrastructure. So you could look at like SBE merging with ChargePoint. That is a SPAC that I own. And then also look at the electric vehicle and hydrogen players. As you know, they already are very positively favored in 2021, but now California is also supporting that growth. And then we've had lots of new SPAC filings over the last couple weeks. I try to dig through them, pick out the ones that I really like. So the one that I want to highlight is a new one that was filed. It is Northern Star Investment Corp 2. So there is no ticker yet. They have not announced what ticker they will begin trading as. Again, this one has not started trading, but jot this down on your watch list. Northern Star Investment Corp 2. So they are raising 300 million. Units will include a quarter of a warrant. They're looking to focus on beauty, wellness, self-care, fashion, e-commerce, subscription, and digital media as their spaces. Team is led by Joanna Coles. She and Jonathan Ledecky. So Coles was with Cosmopolitan, also on the boards of Snapchat parent company and Sonos. The big key here is that first SPAC, Northern Star 1, is the company merging with Bark, parent company of BarkBox. That is a well-received SPAC by investors, up over 50%. And the thing I have to tell you is that was one of the fastest SPAC deals announced in 2020. So that deal was announced when STIC was still trading as units. That's how fast it was. So for them to launch this second SPAC, before Bark is closed, I think maybe they have a target in mind, or they had some that they met with in that first deal that they may pursue. I think, based on the speed of that first deal, we could see similar timing with this second SPAC, or we could see strong investor interest based on BarkBox, being well received in that subscription space. So this is one I'll definitely be watching, as we go forward. I like that management team, and I like the success of that first one. So then that is what I have for headlines. The other note I will say is we still have on our calendar, we have upcoming votes, but not happening until January 19th and January 20th. So we'll highlight those more over the next couple weeks. Looks like nothing on the calendar for next week as of now. So that's it for headlines, Mitch.
All right, guys. As you guys can see, we definitely got some action going on in the SPAC world. I've been looking at some of our watch lists and seeing what's moving. At the end of the day, you're definitely starting to see a little bit of a bounce in some of the kind of the EV names, and like you mentioned, I mean, we could take a look here at our watch list and just kind of see it. You got FUV up here, up about 6%, and it's really bouncing off the support pretty well here at the 14s. So that's going to be an interesting one. Another one that I was watching that's very similar in the same kind of area. We can just touch these electric vehicles and see how they're all kind of similar. Look at this solo chart right by that support. You also got XPEV in that same industry right by the support, and just kind of showing you guys that these stocks are all kind of near that same level. So keep an eye on it. See if there's one that becomes a leader. NIO has been pushing up here towards the resistance. So if you're into the EVs, definitely keep this one on watch. LI, also another one in this sector. We could look at NGA, we could look at Ride also. Support, and I'm liking that look because what can happen is you can have one driver in the industry really create the driver for the rest of them. So definitely going to keep an eye on these kind of EV plays. Was also looking at some lithium plays and things in the underlying assets of EVs. So take a look. One of the things that we try to do is try to be a little bit forward looking into the catalyst of what could possibly come and find the story. And that's what it's all about. I think in SPACs, I think in general, it's about trying to be a little bit you're a little bit forward looking, but you're basing it off of some information, some fundamental, some of the a company, maybe they had success prior to this. And then what you need to do is always be worried about where you're getting in. I think that's always the important part of specs. So let's get into what everyone wants to do and what we're here for today, guys. So hit the like down below, start putting up those tickers down below. Let's smash the like. Let's get to this here. So place those tickers in the chat so that we can go ahead and keep knocking them down.
Hey, Mitch. So since we did IPOE, I was wondering if you can pull up the charts for IPOD and IPOF.
Sounds smart. Let's go ahead and knock them down.
This was one of the stories I talked about when I picked IPOF, as one of my top 10 SPACs for 2021. One of the stories I said is that when you get deal announcements from one of these Chamath SPACs, you could see a rotation as people sell and take profits, or they think, hey, this deal was announced, another one could be coming. So now IPOD and IPOF both up today and starting to run. Disclosure, I am long shares of IPOD. But, I think that could be the story here is if you missed out on IPOE and don't want to chase this one, look at IPOD and IPOF. IPOD already has some rumors out there, and IPOF, the largest Chamath SPAC. So that's the story I'll be looking here. As you look at that volume bar for today, already up there, so I think that could be the story here and the way to kind of piggyback off of the IPOE jump up today. What do you think, Mitch?
I mean, it's not a bad idea. One of the things that I always mention is what's called the lagger trade. And so what you need to do is kind of see the volume. That's what I try to do when I try to find the lagger trade is try to see if there's anything that's getting loaded into. Also, at the same time that maybe the IPOE information came out. And so what you can look to see is, okay, so when do we get this announcement and how much volume is stacking in right after that moment. So it looks like, right here at 10:30 we started getting this spike on IPOD here, and that's the kinds of things that I'll be looking for. How much volume really piled in there? It was about 242,000 shares, and if you look back, there's not many candles that are up that high on a 15-minute chart. So definitely showing that some people are might be taking the look that you're looking at right now, Chris. So I can't say that you're wrong in thinking that for that approach. But like always, guys, do your own assessment and understand where the risk is in these, and that's what I always talk about, guys. If you can understand your risk and manage your risk, then I think these are fun trades, because they do have the volatility to move and give you that return. All right, guys. So definitely seeing a bunch in the chat. So let's start knocking these down. Let's get into our ticker time and get into the stocks that you guys want to go ahead and talk about. All right, guys. All right. So what I'm going to do is to make this fun, guys, let's go ahead and let's put a 1 in the chat if you agree, yes. If you agree, no, then go ahead and put a 2. All right, guys. So this way we can go ahead and have that engagement. Go ahead and look at the ideas of everybody. This is something that I like to do often. I get a bunch of my ideas from you guys in the chat and also in pre-market prep. That chat is very active, and that's what it's all about. So let's work together and let's get this done here, guys. All right, so first things first, let's get into some of the ones that we're seeing out here mentioned. A lot of people are, of course, talking about the IPOEs and IPODs and Fs. So we're going to skip those since we already knocked them down here. Seeing a couple people talk about, this is an interesting question. How about we talk about this to get started? And maybe you could take a side and I'll take a side also. So Chris, we got a question here from Jeannie about GIK versus XL. I think this is a good conversation. I mean, at the end of the day, it is definitely in the kind of this similar area and what can happen with these. So Chris, go ahead and kind of talk about these two.
Yeah, so personally, I like GIK better. I own both of these SPACs. I own GIK still. I no longer own any of XL. For me, I would look at valuation and the run up. So GIK also hasn't closed that deal yet. I think GIK is signing some of those better deals. When we had the CEO on, he really talked about their market share and how they were ahead of the game when it came to versus XL versus Helion, and how they were really tackling, that class 3 to class 7 space. I think XL is in less of those segments as far as class like 2 to 7 goes. So for me, I prefer GIK. That's the one that I'm holding. So I would have to pull up the revenue and those metrics to really dive into that argument. But just off the top of my head, GIK, would be the one that I favor going into that vote.
This is a great conversation. You can look at both of these charts, and essentially they're both looking strong. I mean, they're not looking weak. Even though you're having this pullback on XL, where is it bouncing off? It's bouncing off of support here, guys. So that's always important. And this is why I always talk about how you can't just buy these on the rip out days, because if you get caught here in the 35s, it's pretty tough to go ahead and hold down towards 21 or 20. So always understand the levels that things can pull back to, guys. But definitely this GIK, what I really like is this turnaround at 13. So I'm going to put this GIK chart a little bit bigger so you guys can see exactly what turnaround I'm talking about there at 13. Right here on this 30th of December, it came back down towards this level, broke through it, came back above, closed above 13, right? So that's important for me. Then the next day, it goes and it breaks that 13, and then it holds above it also. And that's important also. Then the next day, what do you get, guys? It goes and it breaks below it again, but when we close up here at 1372. And I think that's very important to notice, guys. That kind of swing and those three attempts to break the 13 down, what ended up happening here is that no one broke this 13 down. And then you get the kind of swing right back up towards the resistance. And now it's just going to be a matter of when the volume can come in near this resistance to really get it up here. I like the chart. I mean, I don't really buy any SPAC up here. It's one of the lessons that I've kind of established for myself, but it's always up to you guys. And I'm going to take a look at this one, GIK. And if you look at the XL chart bouncing off that support, it doesn't look bad either. Off that 20, you can measure your risk down towards the next support, which could be this resistance, or the support down here, which is 1430s or 16s. I kind of like it. It's somewhere in that area, in that $20 to $18 range. It'll be interesting for me on this one, XL. Definitely seen some stocks in the chat, so let's go ahead and keep going here. If you guys got one you want to take a look at, let's keep it going. We got a brown boy here talking about BFT and APXT. I'm going to choose one of those for you, one that we don't talk about too often here. Let's go into APXT here. So what do you know about APXT, Chris?
Yeah, APXT, AvePoint, this is one I've liked for a while. We had CEO TJ on. They're a Microsoft partner. The thing with this one is that when the deal was announced, it was at the time, when a lot of electric vehicle SPACs were getting announced. So it kind of sold off. It wasn't as, hyped of a play as some of those EV names. But this is a company with revenue, a company with deals in place. They have recurring revenue, huge subscription model. They made that transition a couple of years ago to really capture the recurring revenue. They're a leading Microsoft partner. They win awards from Microsoft year after year. They help those small to medium-sized businesses. This is, in that software space that, again, may not have the flashiness of an EV play, but it's got the revenue and the growth. So for me, this is one I like long term.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I can see from this chart is that we're starting to level out. So to me, it's kind of going to go into more along my rule of three here. So one rip up, pull back, one rip up, pull back. I would like to see a rip up towards 16 and then it come back and hold 15. That would get me interested in the collection of volume. You see how this volume's dipping and dipping and dipping and dipping. I'll wait till I see a spike and to see if it can hold support. So let's go ahead and keep going here. Seeing a couple people mention young investor. We hit that GIK for you, so I hope you like that one. I'm seeing another one here. Let's go to Brian. Brian, TDAC. here, TDAC. Do you know anything about this one, Chris?
Yeah, so this one I don't know if we've actually covered. So Trident Acquisition, they're merging with Lottery.com. This one's interesting because originally they were targeting more of the energy and the oil space, but Lottery.com, so again, as we shift in the sports betting casino space, to online versus, in person, Lottery.com, they could have strong runway growth there. So that's one I'll be taking a look at kind of long term versus, just with the deal announcement. But that's one I like, based off of that space that it's in.
Yeah, one of the things I could say is that this 12 is holding very nicely here. That's getting me interested is that you got that one rip up, pull back, second rip, pull back, third rip. Now it just needs to hold support for me. And if it can hold this 12, get some volume, pop it up through this 1260, I think it'll be looking interesting for its way back up there. So one that I haven't heard much mentioned, and one that I'm definitely going to add to my watch list. So I'd like to give a shout out definitely to Brian. Appreciate you bringing this one into the chat and into the room. That's what it's really all about, guys. Especially if you notice one that we're not touching, and you guys want to go ahead and bring it up. Definitely bring it to the show, and we'll bring it in here. All right, so let's keep it going here. Let's get into IPV here. IPV. What do you know about this one, Chris?
Yeah, so IPV, is that the Lidar or is that the vehicle one?
I'm pretty sure that's the Lidar one.
Yep, so AVA, so that is the Lidar one. Just had funding the other day from a group that includes some Apple veterans. So for me, Lidar, there's been 4 Lidar SPACs over the last year. So it's kind of hard to, compare them, look at who's going to win those big deals going forward. But, I have to believe that the connection here to some of those Apple veterans is at least worth, sniffing out here with Apple entering electric vehicles. So I do like that connection there. All the LiDAR ones to me, I think electric vehicles is the key for 2021. But I think, Mitch, as you have said, autonomous vehicles could be a big story. I don't know if we get that story necessarily this year, but maybe the year after. But I think the LiDAR and the semiconductor auto names, are going to have strong growth ahead in that space.
Yeah, it's part of what we'll be looking at in the whole sector. I mean, at the end of the day, I think Chris and I are both looking for different plays that are not necessarily just EV, right? It's what's behind EV, what's the technology. I've been looking at some lithium plays as of recent and things like that. So what's going to be behind deriving the demand, and how are all these EV companies going to actually meet the demand is they need these underlying assets. They need these technology companies to really give them the step forward in the industry and also speed up the technology. And so we'll keep an eye on these for sure. I did hear about NGA going on Kramer. I don't think it happened yesterday because of all the things that happened yesterday. But it will be interesting. I think the interview will go on today. What do you think, Chris? Do you think they'll put it on today?
Yeah, so Mitch, I can give you an update there. So NGA was supposed to be on Kramer last night. Kramer canceled the show after what was going on in Washington, D.C. They will not be on the program tonight. He has Constellation Brands, STZ, and Plug Power, PLUG, on the show tonight. So there has not been an announcement on if that will get rescheduled. The thing I will tell you, I think we told you yesterday, we'll have Lion Electric on the show. Due to a conflict with them, they will now be on our show next Wednesday instead of Tuesday. So we might beat Kramer to the punch here. So they'll be on the show Wednesday. And I also heard that they will be talking to JMac, a friend of the show, next week as well. So it looks like they were in a quiet period with media before they issued that new filing for that Amazon deal. So now it looks like they're going to start tackling, some media interviews going forward. So again, this is NGA, a stock that I own and one of my top 10 favorites for 2021. So I'm real excited for this interview next week.
Yeah, I think when we talked about this one, even just at the beginning of the year, we were talking about this day, and the stock was in between this like kind of 19 area, in the intraday when our show was going on, and what ended up happening here is that it closed above 20. Once that closed above 20 with that volume pop, and I talk about this, guys. Let's look at the volume, guys. So you see this decline, 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 spike. That's what I look for, guys. I can't put it on the chart better than that, and those are the kinds of things that I look for to show me trend swings, to show me maybe the bulls have taken control of this stock, and and I mean you can see these candles. They're looking pretty strong compared to even let's go back and look at the biggest candles and look how this candle has become a massive candle compared to even some of these that you get in the early trend. And how does that happen? That happens because of the volume, guys, the volume piling in. So just kind of a quick touch on that technical and volume aspect. Let's keep going here and seeing one by Lambo Group. Lambo Group, if you got some Lamborghinis and you can hand them over to Chris and I, we would love them. So just let you know, I don't think Chris and I have ever driven a Lamborghini, but we don't mind taking one. So we'll take the stock from you right now, but ACAM. So what's going on with this one, Chris?
Yeah, so ACA merging with car lots. Disclosure, I do own shares of ACAM. So this is, another play on the shift to online car buying. I like the revenue here, and I like the comp to companies like Carvana and Shift Technologies. They have better margins. They have lower user acquisition costs. They have a expansion plan for nationwide, whereas some of these other players are more regional right now. So I like the story here. That vote's going to be this first quarter. So this is one I bought, going into that deal, but I also like long term.
Yeah, definitely. This is what it's about, guys. And one of the things that we talk about is this pattern often, is that sideways after the breakout through 10. So here in June, you got this breakout, right, through the $10, right? And it had these spikes before. But I always talk about, can it close above 10? And you guys will hear me talk about this often on SPAC's Attack. Close above 10 and then go sideways and not break that $10 price point. So we got this push up here towards the 1050. It pulls back here towards 1005, pushes right back up there, pulls back right there, pulls up, pulls back. And what do we expect, guys, after that third pullback? Is volume, guys. Volume is what brings it back to resistance. Volume is what rips it out, guys. So here's that push right back up there towards resistance. And what happens on that day? Boom, you get your volume pop. And sometimes it could be because of the catalyst. It doesn't necessarily need to be, the volume could have came because there was a catalyst. But I think it's very important to notice these patterns, guys, because I'm a person that I like to get in these a little bit earlier than later, or get in kind of in the anticipation of these rips. And so that's what I'm looking for, guys. Those are the patterns that I'm trying to point out. All right, guys, let's keep going here in the chat. Seeing a whole bunch of tickers mentioned here. Let's go to some Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods. I'm loving it, man. SSPK. Let's take a look, Chris. What's up with SSPK here?
Yeah, so SSPK, we hit on yesterday, and that was one that Jonah talked about on the show. So merging with Weed Maps. I haven't gotten into too many cannabis stocks myself, because I do prefer the ones that trade on major exchanges versus the OTC. This is one I'm considering getting into because I like the story that it's more of a thing behind the thing and a pick and shovel play, versus the actual, growers that are focused on margins. This is the company connecting people, with those cannabis stores. They're building out the logistics network, and they're working on, adding additional services, to charge those stores, going forward. So I like this one for the cannabis play for 2021.
Hey guys, I can say I've been a user of Weed Maps, so I know the product, and I can say that they do have some ability to kind of make it a very user-friendly platform that I can definitely give them as maybe their advantage. But I also can say that there's competition in this sector. I can say there's one called Cannabis. That's not it's not a public company, but just to kind of explain that there is some competition in this sector and in this industry. So I would try to pay attention to kind of what can they do to really separate themselves from the competition. So one of the things that they try to do is they have an order online method, and I think this is what probably some of the focus is from the investors in this company is their online ordering and how they have access to all these different dispensaries that you can go ahead and order online through their platform. And in certain places, this is even going to get you delivery. So this is why they have kind of their business, and I kind of just wanted to point out some of the strengths and the weaknesses that I see in this company. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and keep going here. I'm seeing one mention that we don't talk too much about, but I want to talk about it because we've been mentioning the underlying assets and EVs. So let's mention this one here, AMCI, the hydrogen play. Chris, what's up with AMCI?
That's AMCI, Advent Technologies. Yeah, hydrogen play. This is one I want to do some more research into, and find out more. I'm seeing that name, pop up more and more. Looks like it's getting, it's up 17% today, so strong movement. Again, we're going to see EVs and those hydrogen names probably trade higher based off of the election results and then also that California news. So I am not in any hydrogen plays right now, but it is something I'm considering to kind of diversify to go along with those EV names.
Hey, there's waves to this game, guys. There's waves to the game. I can say it often, guys. There's going to be months that go up, months that come down. And so you have to understand that the overall market trend, how these SPACs are all kind of trending with each other. And sometimes you get the EV pullback. And then that happens. So you guys got to pay attention that there's going to be waves. And the waves with SPACs are big. They're waves that are go big on the downside. They come down big. They'll go, a stock can go up to 22 and come back down to 13. And then a stock can also go from a level of $10 to 20 really quickly. So you have to understand that there's going to be waves to the game. All right, let's go ahead and keep going here. There's another one in the chat. This is what it's really about. Seeing PIPP from Carl. So let's check out this one. He says he really likes this one. So let's go ahead and, well, like is an understatement. We got love. So let's check out this one. Pine Island Acquisition Corp. Let me go ahead and take a look here a little bit. It looks like it just started trading. Um, I think it might have just started trading today on that ticker symbol. So PIPP coming down there towards about 1010 from the 1080 kind of open here. It's going to be interesting to see if it can, kind of keep this sideways action. But do you know anything about this one, Chris?
Yeah, so PIPP, I don't have the names in front of me, but if you go back and watch our show where we talk Biden-related SPACs, this is one where I believe his Department of Defense and Department of Energy picks are actually on the board of this company. They will be leaving that position if they are sworn in under those new administration, just for conflict interests. But also, this has some strong, defense names attached to it. So I do like it going forward in that space. And I do, of course, like the connections to the Biden administration, but, targeting defense, government, and aerospace. And again, with that experienced management team, I think they have some former congressmen as well as advisors. So what better way to invest in the government space than the people that are running the day-to-day operations and have the experience there. So I do like this one going forward.
Yeah, definitely. It'll be one that I keep on watch. Carl's always in here. He's a loyal watcher, and definitely he even gives me some advice sometimes. So I take a look, and that's what it's all about, guys. It's looking at the story, looking to see if you yourself like this stock. So let's go ahead and keep going here in the chat. Seeing a couple people mentioned SRAC. Is this a buying opportunity here? Let's go ahead and take a look. Now, one thing I will let you know is that I am kind of a bull in the space industry. One of the stocks that I've always mentioned is Max R, a stock that I never got, full disclosure, but I always kind of liked it when I used to day trade back in the day. And one of the things that I definitely do see is that the space industry is getting investments. So what do you know about this one, Chris?
Yeah, so SRAC, if you've ever watched the show, this is a favorite of mine in that space industry. So momentous, the last mile space delivery, the FedEx of space. I do think there could be a buying opportunity here as it has dipped because they delayed their launch aboard a rocket in January. That will now be later this year. But they did extend their deal with SpaceX. So a delay with the first one, but they're going to have more rockets now with SpaceX. They have signed some deals, to take that payload, into space. So this is a catalyst in 2021. And I didn't note in headlines today, which is weird because I wrote an article about it this morning. But SPCE, Virgin Galactic, former SPAC, they did have news out today too. They tweeted that they found the issues with that failed rocket, where the ignition had that fail-safe switch. So they are working on fixing those problems, and then they will update on a new launch. So I talk about Catalyst all the time, in the story. So with SPCE, now you have two potential catalysts coming later this year. One, when they announce the official date of that launch, and two, when that actual launch happens. So if you look at that chart, it traded at like 31 or 32, before that test flight. And then, because of the so-called fail there, it traded down 16% right away on Monday. So you have an opportunity if you believe in the story and you believed in the story before that launch, you can now buy shares, before that run up, before that took place. So, pay attention to your levels, believe in the long-term story. But SPCE is another one I love in the space industry. So I'll definitely be taking a look at that one, for long term.
Yeah, definitely. Let's go ahead and take a look here a little bit technically wise. First one I want to pull up is SPCE. And one of the things that I do is, so a stock that's been traded this much and kind of in these areas, what I'll do is I'll pull the weekly. Why? Because I want to get a little bit further back on the trend to really find what's been going on in the stock, right? So when we take that approach, you see how it gets a lot cleaner, right? And so one of the clean approaches that I'm looking for is moves to resistance back to support. So if we really look at this stock, it's been really holding these 1480s really well when it comes back in this level. So you got this drive up. You got a one rip, pull back, second rip, pull back, third rip, pull back. What do we need to see on the third pullback, guys? We need to see it hold and create some volume here to show you that some bulls are getting in and believe in this story to get back up there to that 36. And so I'll be paying attention. We did get a significant amount of volume here, 149 million shares traded when it did that gap down. So that's one thing that I'd pay attention to is can we get back up to that volume of like 130, 100 million shares traded to really push it and drive it back up there to that 32. But like you said, this one has multiple catalysts that can come in the year, and the story could get hot. Let's go ahead and take a look at SRAC, which was the stock that we got mentioned. And one of the things that I'm mentioning here is support, man. Support. Look at this. Look how it comes back towards that 1450, and it even cracks through here and gives you an opportunity to get it down all the way down to 14. And this is why it's important to understand those levels of support, because what it was it cracked through that level of support here at 1450, but it came back towards a prior resistance, which was right here at this 14 level. And that's why I always point out that you will have opportunities to get in these if you pay attention to the levels. I'm liking this SRAC. If we can come back down, maybe hold another test towards 15. So we got a big volume day right here on January 5th. 1.25 million shares traded. I would look for it to try to test to break that, let it get somewhere near this 1520 something, 15 area. If it can turn around from there and get back up here to the 1650s, I myself might be interested in this chart. I don't buy too many past that level, but it's looking interesting there for sure. All right, let's go ahead and let's keep going here in the chat. Want to go ahead and touch some other SPACs here. So if you guys got some SPACs you want to take a look at, definitely put it up, guys. Appreciate the thumbs up. That's what we're here for, guys. Richard, if you want to talk about IPOE, IPOE, we talked about it at the beginning of the show, so definitely take a look at that. We also talked about IPOD and IPOF. Seeing some people mention this WPF, but I think we already took a look at that. So let's go into this one here. I got, let's go into FIII. That's not a bad one to bring up. I know that it was on my gappers list today, so definitely going to take a look at that one. Let's bring up FIII by Fair One. You know, so what do you know about this one, Chris?
Yeah, so merging with electric last mile. This is another EV play. Shareholders will own around 18%. The thing I like with this is electric last mile. The people leading that company, they have ties to, Ford and General Motors, also Workhorse, so some experience in that industry, really focused on the delivery van space. And they're saying that those vans have 20% more cargo room than others, which is, key as we are in such a e-commerce market now. Looks like over 30,000 pre-orders, and, Walmart, FedEx, Ryder, and IKEA are among the customers. So, it looks like revenue 122 million this year and ramping up quickly to 613 million next year. And growing at triple digits. So yeah, this is one definitely worth looking at, with that strong revenue growth forecasted and those large customers.
All right, all right. So one of the things that we're gonna go into here, seeing Ajax mentioned a couple times here. Let's touch that really quick. Vintage. We'll go ahead and bring it up. Try not to spam the chat too much, but one of the things is we definitely want to go ahead and bring up a stock that you feel that you really need that coverage. So let's go ahead. Ajax. What's up with Ajax, Chris?
Yeah, I'm looking at the 1 month chart for Ajax, and it looks like it's starting to hit back to those lows that we saw. So this one has spiked up because it's gotten a lot of coverage because of that strong management team that it has. The founders of Square, 23andMe, Instagram, and Chipotle. This is a favorite of mine because of that management team, and with it trading under 1150 right now. I really like an entry point here. I don't know if we're going to break 11, which is where, I'd love to get one of these pre-deal ones, but, paying a premium for that management team, I like it here as opposed to chasing, in the 12 to 13 range. So definitely on my radar and, a long-term favorite of mine.
Hey guys, I don't even have to touch that one technically. You guys already heard Chris nail that one. All right, so let's go ahead and let's keep going in here. Let's flow through. I want to do one or two more tickers left here, guys. So let's definitely, if you have one you want to touch, let's go ahead and get into it. I want to give a shout out to the Sleepy Kids for the $1. Thank you. I need my George Washingtons. How do you think I make this money? At the end of the day, that's how we do it. All
Hey,
right, guys.
along with that dollar, we need some likes. So smash that like. We got almost 400 people in here watching, and not even 100 likes. So it doesn't take long. And guys, I know we talk about it, but it really helps with the YouTube algorithms, and it helps this show get noticed and picked up. And we're all about bringing coverage to SPACs in the industry, and we want to keep this show going and want to have strong viewership. So just take a quick second, smash the like and subscribe if you're not already.
Yep, like always, guys. So one of the things that we do is we want to bring you guys and bring everybody else into this SPAC world. So let your friends know where the best SPAC show is in the world. It's not just in the nation. I haven't found one to compete with us. So if you guys know one that can compete, let me know because I don't see no competition out there, so I'll keep working hard here with Chris. Let's keep going. We're seeing some likes, seeing some love. So let's get ahead and keep it going here. Did see Sleepy kind of mention a stock, so I want to go ahead and kind of go back to Sleepy's stock here since he's giving us our nice Benjamins that we get in here. So let me scroll up as I see PCPL. PCPL. So what do you know about this one, Chris?
So PCPL, yeah, it's merging with E2 Open. This is a fintech play. I don't think I've dove into this one a lot on our show, but this is one that I like that deal. Some strong customer base. So yeah, I'll be doing some more research on that one. Let's bring that one up on a future show because I like the story with E2 Open and just haven't dove into that enough.
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about. So thank you, Sleepy Kids, bringing that PCPL. We'll go ahead and do a little bit more research on that one. Been seeing some people mention that we're not mentioning the new ones. Hey, this show's about you guys. You guys let us know what you guys want to see. It's not what Chris and I want to see. So let's go ahead. I'll hit one up for you here, DBB. Let's touch one of these. Let's touch BENE. So what do you know about this one, Chris?
I don't know if I know this one because it is brand new.
Boom, boom. Trading in the U's, not even trading
Not even
the.
trading. Looks like technology, North America, South America focus. Yeah, so I would have to dive into that one more. The thing I will say is we went from 10 new SPACs being announced a week to now there's about 40. So going through all those filings, we did do a couple shows though where we did 10 new SPACs to watch. And VTIQ, I will say, is one that we covered in one of those shows. So VTIQ, of course, that's the company that took Nikola public. That's going to be their second SPAC. And Mitch and I brought the bull bear case there where Mitch said, "Why would you invest in them when there's so many SPACs out there?" And they kind of failed with that Nikola deal. And I said, maybe it's worth taking a shot with VTIQ because they're going to want redemption. So again, it's kind of up to you guys, what your thought process is. Um, you know, so we took a look at VTIQ. I'll try to dive into BENE more. So thanks for bringing those up. But yeah, we're going to try to hit more of the new ones. If you scroll back and watch the start of the show, I gave you that Northern Star 2 from the same team that's doing BarkBox. Write these down. You can't trade them yet, but when you can, you want to know about these before everyone else does because as the SPAC community grows, these units no longer trade at 10. They start trading, closer to 11. And you want to know which ones you should invest in, on day one based on your own research and your own thought process.
Yeah, definitely, guys. What we try to do is try to show you guys the process and how we attack things. Because if we can show you guys the process, that's going to get you guys to be self-sufficient traders. And that's what we're trying to do here. We're not trying to get you guys to just jump off and piggyback off of Chris and my ideas that's not what it's really about. It's to show you guys the process and how we attack, how we look for these stories, how we measure the technicals, some of the patterns that we're seeing. And like we get comments on Twitter all the time. I'm seeing this pattern, and they'll literally point it out, do a picture for us. That's exactly what I like to see out there. I pay attention to those tweets more than you guys know. I'll go ahead and I'll do research. I'll pull the chart up myself to see how I feel about the stock, and that's what it's all about, guys. So let's keep rolling here. Want to go ahead and get one more stock here, one more stock mentioned before we get out of here. It's been a long show. I wanted to do it extra for you guys. So definitely, if you're getting the value, smash the like below. Share this with your friends. Let them know that how many tickers we covered. I think we've covered like 20 tickers here. So let's keep going here. I am seeing GIX mentioned often by Christian here. So let's go ahead and give him some love. Christian, I'll give you some love here. GIX. So what's up with this one, Chris?
Yeah, so GIX, we hit in headlines, Lightning E Motors, or no, so GI. GIK we talked about.
Mm.
GIX is the other gig capital. So merging with two companies, so UpHealth and CloudBreak. So kind of a healthcare play there, telemedicine. I don't know a ton about this. We haven't seen a ton of SPACs take two companies public at the same time over the last year. So that's something worth considering. Is that a wise decision or not? Telemedicine, I think, is here to stay. It's a huge growing industry. Obviously, there's some competition there with Teladoc, and they already took out, their leading competitor. So this one I would have to do some more research on. But I did like GIK, Gig Capital, the company that is doing that other deal for Lightning e-motors.
All right, all right. Looks like we're getting some hate, but hey, guess what? We can't make everybody happy. What we do here is try to make the majority happy and give you guys the best coverage that we think we can do here. So let's go ahead and if I take a look at this GIX, I can definitely see that downtrend that it came from that 1180. Kept trying to break through this level here in the 12s. So let's see long term if it can get actually above this kind of this 1180 and get into the 12s, and that will show that all these kind of moves ups and moves downs have been kind of these waves building up the volume in the stock and building up some bottom support here.
Hey,
So yeah,
I have breaking news.
but whoa! Breaking news, guys! Breaking news.
Chamath just tweeted. So we do have confirmation now on IPOE. I just sent it to you in the chat if you want to pull that up. So IPOE is merging with SoFi to take them public. This was 56 seconds ago. Chamath has a one pager out, highlighting the terms of that deal. And he did say he will be on CNBC at 1 p.m. to talk about that deal. So we have confirmation. Shares are still halted, it looks like. So I'm curious to see what these trade at, when they are unhalted. But that SoFi deal has now been confirmed from the man himself. So stay tuned, for CNBC at noon.
Yeah, you guys definitely, one of the things we like to do is to bring you the news first. So, as you guys see, Chris working in the middle of the show, guys, trying to bring you guys the news, and that's what we'll continue doing. So, definitely smash the like below. We'll continue breaking the coverage. At the end of the day, we get to so many SPACs that need kind of this coverage and need this consistent coverage because this is not where you're not seeing this anywhere else. And that's really what we're trying to do here is really get you guys the information so that you guys can go ahead and have that informed trade in a kind of a relatively new asset class. So let's go ahead and let's get the last messages here. Seen some love, definitely great show, bunch of love, bunch of thumbs up. That's what I like to see, guys. Definitely, we'll keep working hard for you. So, Chris, anything you want to leave off on?
No, that's it. I gotta tune into CNBC now and hear what this deal is all about with Chamath. So thanks everyone for joining the show. We'll see you tomorrow. So another great ticker time. We love doing this and hitting on as many as we can. So
When SPACs attack, right, Chris?
that's right.